Good afternoon. Good afternoon. It is that time of year. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Salute, 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 salute. Well, it's Texas week. It is Texas week. To all my fellow Dog Nation family, it is Texas week. It is do or die is here. Very important matchup with playoff implications on the line. Texas versus UGA, the number one ranked Texas Longhorns versus the number five ranked uh, Georgia Bulldogs. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the keys to victory for both teams. And then at the end, I'll be giving my predictions. So get your popcorn ready and get ready. This is the Dog Call. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Dog Call, the prediction show. We're going to go ahead and do the predictions for the Georgia versus Texas matchup. I'm your host, Armando Black. First things first, I would like to salute the chat. Thank you all for coming out. If I don't shout you out personally, please just know that I love and appreciate each and every last one of you for coming through and spending your evening with me, and let's discuss some college football. As you all know, I'm working with a new platform. Can't really see the chat right now, but thank you all for coming out, and let's get into the subject at hand. Today, we are discussing the epic matchup between the number five ranked Georgia Bulldogs. They travel to Austin, Texas, to take on the Texas Longhorns. Now, let's go over a little bit of history in my lifetime between these two teams, okay? That's the only, I'm just going to go back that far, okay? This is the third matchup in my lifetime of these two teams battling. Now, first things first, the Georgia Bulldogs are the underdog. They're a 3.5 point underdog. I think that is going to eventually move to 4 points. It's trending, moving into 4 points. So the last two previous meetings, the underdog won the game. Let me repeat it again. The last two times these teams have met, the underdog won the game. If you go back to the 84 Cotton Bowl, the Texas Longhorns were ranked number 2, undefeated coming into that game. Actually had a chance to win a national title, but all thanks to a late touchdown by the Georgia Bulldogs, led by their quarterback at the time, John Landstinger. The Georgia Bulldogs upset the Texas Longhorns in Dallas in the Cotton Bowl. I think the score was, if I'm not mistaken, 10-7. if I'm not mistaken. 10-7, cold day. I remember that day. I was a kid watching that game with my father, God rest his soul. It was cold, tremendously cold that day. It was like, I know it had to have been like in the teens that day. Unseasonably cold day in Dallas that day. It was cold all across the South. We had an Arctic blast going on that day. I remember that. That's one thing I do remember. That was a cold New Year's Day. But Georgia won that matchup, and Georgia went into that game the underdogs. Okay, now fast forward to the 2019 Sugar Bowl, where Georgia, I think, was a 2.5 touchdown favorite, 2 touchdowns and a field goal favorite to beat Texas in the Sugar Bowl. And of course, we all know that was the infamous game where in the pregame, Bevo was trying to get at our mascot Uga, and in the game, the Longhorns got at the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs, however, a lot of starters opted out and did not play in that game. One notable player that opted out was DeAndre Baker. A lot of Dogs fans feel that had he played, uh, that Georgia wouldn't have given up so many yards to the Texas offense. But I think Texas just played a great game, and Georgia really wasn't. They didn't want to be there, nor did they want to, nor were they ready for that game. If you all remember, we had just came off a heartbreaking loss in the SEC championship game. I feel like that is another year that had it been a 12-team playoff, I think Georgia would have won the rematch against Bama and would have won the national title. I don't give a damn how good Clemson was that year. That Georgia team was dangerous going into the postseason, but they couldn't get over the hump. Bama in the SEC championship game went on to the Sugar Bowl and lost that game to Texas. So that leaves us to where we are here today. Texas are the overwhelming favorite. Damn near every news media, ESPN, ABC, CBS, NBC, they're all picking Texas. Uh, Man, and I remember when Bama and Georgia played a couple of weeks ago, a lot of people were picking Bama, but it wasn't as overwhelming as it is now. Texas is definitely, beyond a shadow of a doubt, the overwhelming favorite to win this game. Not too many people are giving Georgia a chance to win this game. Not too many people outside of the Georgia fan base is giving Georgia a chance to win this game. So let's get into it. Let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Let's start off with our beloved Georgia Bulldogs. Our beloved Georgia Bulldogs are currently sitting at 5-1, ranked number 5 in the nation. One loss and a nail biter. In my opinion, I feel like that game Georgia could have easily won and should have won. Lost to Bama, 41-34. Heartbreaker. Okay, heartbreaker. And those of you remember, Georgia was driving the ball down the field and needed a touchdown to actually tie the game and take it a touchdown and the extra point to tie the game up and take it into overtime. But the interception, Carson Beck threw a bad pass into double coverage, basically threw it right to the tied defender, and it was picked off, and we lost the game that night. Now, we're still ranked number 5, and actually we're ranked. A lot has happened since then. Ole Miss has lost 2 games. Tennessee, they lost the game, but then they're not looking as good as they were in the beginning of the season. Missouri did not look good at all against Texas A&M. They got shellacked by Texas A&M. A lot has happened since then. So let's take a look at the tail of the tape. The two toughest games so far that Georgia has played is Clemson, the opening season game against Clemson, where they destroyed Clemson 34-3, and the Bama game, which they lost. Okay, the two toughest games that Texas has played was up in Ann Arbor against a Michigan team that has lost two games and has not looked like nowhere near the same Michigan team that we've seen the last 3 years. And they also just destroyed Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry last Saturday. An Oklahoma team that is lackluster on offense, but has a decent defense. Okay, so we're going to get into that here shortly. Now, let's look at Georgia. And I just want all of you to do the tail of the tape. All of you do the tail of the tape, and you tell me who has the advantage. All right, we're going to start with quarterback. On Georgia's side, you have Carson Beck. On Texas side, you have Quinn Ewers. Now, you tell me who has the advantage at quarterback. All right, now you look at the running backs. Look at the running backs, and you want to, we want to go with the leading. Well, let's go with the top two running backs for Georgia. You have Trevor Etienne and Nate Frazier. Okay, we all remember what Nate Frazier did in the Clemson game. And Trevor Etienne, he was suspended in that Clemson game, but he's come on strong. So you have Etienne, Nate Frazier. For Texas, you have Jaden Blue, and you have Quinjavion Wisner. Quinjavion, I hope I'm pronouncing this. I don't like to mispronounce anyone's name. That's a pet peeve of mine. Quinjavion Wisner. Those are the two running backs, Blue and Wisner, for the Texas Longhorns. Okay, let's look at tight end, and we'll go with the most known tight end for Georgia, Oscar Delp. And for Texas, they have Gunnar Helm. Okay, so I've given you the running backs. You tell me. Now, let's just go back. Let me give my opinion on who has the advantage, all right? And I know everyone has their own opinion. Right now, in my opinion, if you're going by who has the advantage at quarterback, I'm gonna call it a dead even. I'm gonna call it a dead even because Carson Beck although Carson Beck has a loss, and he actually probably has more turnovers than Quinn Ewers, his percentage rates are off the charts, and he's had some explosive games this season. So both quarterbacks, in my opinion, right now, it's a dead even type. They're right now neck and neck. As far as the backfield, where's the advantage? As far as the backfield, I got to go with the Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia Bulldogs, that backfield, give me that backfield against that Texas backfield any day. Tight end, Gunnar Helm versus Oscar Delp. No doubt about it. I will go with Gunnar Helm. Gunnar Helm, I can see that kid playing on Sundays. Definitely playing on Sundays. I see flashes of Brock Bowers when I watch him play. I think Bowers have much better hands, and Bowers has tremendous speed and is faster. But I see some flashes of Brock Bowers when I watch Gunnar Helms. Okay, let's look at the wide receivers, and we're going to start off with Georgia, and we're going to go with Dylan Bell, Dominique Lovett, Arian Smith, so that's Arian Smith, Dominique Lovett, Dylan Bell, and you can throw, I guess right now we can throw Anthony Evans in there. Okay, so that's Georgia's wide receiver core. All right. Now for Texas, they have Isaiah Bond, Ryan Wingo, Silas Bolden, and Matthew Golden. Now, every wide receiver core has the alpha dog, and then we all know the alpha dog is Isaiah Bond. All right. The other three, they're no slouches. Now I hear a lot of Georgia fans saying, "Oh, Isaiah Bond, his ankle is messed up. He may not play, or he may not be at 100%. Oh, we may be all right." No, you're not, because Ryan Wingo will hurt you. Silas Bolden will hurt you. Matthew Golden will hurt you. Okay, and with that being said, when it comes to the skill set, I got to give it to Texas. Okay, so when it comes to offense, advantage, wide receivers, Texas. When it comes to tight end, advantage, Texas. When it comes to the quarterbacks, Ewers, Carson Beck, I see both of them definitely playing on Sundays. Both of them will make a difference on some NFL teams' franchise. But so I'm going to go push on that one. I think that's dead even. When it comes to the running back rooms between Texas and Georgia, I got to go with Georgia's running back committee. All right. Now, the defense. Let's take a look at the defense. The defensive line, Georgia has definitely been challenged a lot more this year. They were challenged by Clemson. They were challenged by Kentucky, which Kentucky has a great O-line. They were challenged by Bama. Bama has an elite O-line. And they were also challenged by Auburn. Auburn has a pretty good O-line. So there you have it. Texas went up against Michigan's O-line, which is not the same. They're tremendous in run blocking, but they're not the same. The pass blocking is suspect. Oklahoma, they're not able to put up points, so that speaks for itself. And when I'm not just talking about the game against Texas, throughout the season, Oklahoma has not really been able to put up points. All right, so we saw what happened in the Tennessee game. So when it comes to D-line, I would have to give the advantage to Georgia, but by a razor thin margin. When it comes to the linebackers, it's not even close. Georgia has better linebackers. As a matter of fact, that entire linebacker core for Georgia will definitely be playing on Sundays. Definitely. I wouldn't be surprised if each one of them are off the boards by midway through the second round of the NFL draft. I would not be surprised at all. Okay. So let's take a look at the secondary. Let's take a look at the safeties. Then when it comes to the safeties, Malachi Starks, Texas does not have an elite player in at safety like a Malachi Starks. Malachi Starks is battle tested. He's played on national championship teams. Cannot take that away from that kid. Then you throw in KJ Bolden and Dan Jackson. It's not even close. Georgia wins that category at safety. Okay. Now, when it comes to DBs, Texas has not given up any explosive plays in the air this year. None of the cornerbacks, either cornerback has given up an explosive play in the air on defense. So you got to give that one to Texas, no doubt, without a doubt, not even close. Texas, advantage Texas. All right, let's take a look at the O-line. Georgia's O-line is hit with injuries. Even before the injuries, they were struggling. Then they kind of looked a little so suspect against Clemson, and the season opener looked against Tennessee Tech. Did not look good at all against Kentucky. Was terrible I'm not going to say terrible. They looked a little lethargic in the first half against Bama. They came out in the second half against Bama, played lights out. In that Auburn game, they looked the best that they've ever looked all season, in my opinion. Carson Beck had time to sit back there and order pizza and give his girlfriend a foot massage and still have time to throw the ball. That's how much time he had to throw the ball against Auburn. And against Mississippi State as well, he had time. The offense was just unstoppable. If it wasn't for a few, miscues by Carson Beck, a couple of interceptions, miscues, ill-advised throws. Other than that, it was pretty much a flawless performance last Saturday, right? Texas's O-line, they just bulldozed Michigan. They went into Ann Arbor, bulldozed Michigan. They made that Michigan defensive front look like a JV team. I mean, it's been years since we've seen a team actually do that to Michigan. So that what makes that performance so impressive. And that Oklahoma defense, say what you want to say about Oklahoma as a team, but one thing you can't take away from them, they have a hell of a pass rush. And that Texas O-line shut that down. They shut it down. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's the tale of the tape. And as we all know, games are won in the trenches. Games are won in the trenches. So let's go to the keys to victory for both teams. And I'll start off with Texas, since I am a Georgia fan. So most of you know, I wear that on my sleeve. It's obvious. It's obvious. I am a Georgia fan. All right. This show is called the DAWG Call. So we're going to start off with the opponent. Keys to victory for the opponent. Texas is simple on offense. Come out and maybe establish a long drives. You want to keep that Georgia offense off the field as much as possible. Sustain long drives, get Jaden Blue and Wisner involved, throw some play action passes out of the backfield, try to hit those edges. That is where Georgia's weakness is. The edges, I don't know the status of Jordan Hall and Mikael Williams, but if Jordan Hall is not playing, then Georgia's going to have the same issues. Now, I will say this now. Last Saturday, Georgia didn't really give up hardly anything on the edge. All right. The issues were downfield. So Georgia run defense in the last 2 weeks against Auburn and Mississippi State has improved vastly. Definitely go after that secondary. But I wouldn't start off, trying to swing for the fences at first. I would come out and sustain long drives, wear down that D line, wear down those linebackers, hit them lateral as much as possible, work on those edges. Definitely lean heavy on Gunnar Helm. Use Gunnar Helm. I remember Bama used their tight end a lot in their victory against Georgia. So you want to involve Gunnar Helm in this, especially if Isaiah Bond is banged up. All right. Then once you see that Georgia defense has wear down, then you just go after the secondary, because that is where the weakness is. That is where the weakness is. And I would definitely go after Dylan Everett. Dylan Everett, in my opinion, and look, I'm a Georgia fan, and I'm just being honest with you. He's not good at all. I don't see how he even became a starter for Georgia. And playing on the SEC as an SEC starter at DB. I don't see why or what Kirby sees in him talent-wise, but I'm just being honest with you. He cannot cover. He can't tackle worth a damn, and he's slow. He gets beat. If you pay attention, and I'm not just talking about this year, you go back to look at some film from last year. He gets beat on a lot of routes, especially on the deep routes. He gives up a lot of big plays. I just don't think he has the speed. Uh, I just don't think he has the speed to play DB on an SEC level. In my opinion, that's just my opinion. But that's the side that I would definitely pick on. Now the other side, Julian Humphrey. The thing about Julian Humphrey is he can cover. He's a good cover, but he can't tackle worth a damn. So if you get Gunnar Helm in space with him, or if you can get a bigger wide receiver, let's say Ryan Wingo. If you can get him in a one-on-one situation with Ryan Wingo, I think Ryan Wingo could break some tackles in that secondary and pick up a lot of yards after catch. So definitely especially if they go man. If they play man, I am lighting that secondary up because they have not been able to stop anyone on man this season. The only team that they were really able to stop on man was Tennessee Tech. So, Auburn, in the Auburn game, the passes, Thorne was just not connecting. It was overthrowing some receivers, but there were receivers running around in our secondary wide open for Auburn. So just like I said, I keep it 100 over here. Anyone get upset, get mad, or question my fanhood? Look, I'm not going to sell you any champagne wishes or caviar pipe dreams. Over here at the Dog Call, if you want the truth, come over here. You want some pipe dreams, lies, and Disney fairy tales told to you, you got to go elsewhere with that. I keep it 100 over here, and I'm going to tell you, there are a lot of avenues for Texas to win this game on offense, and the main one is to try to carve up that secondary of Georgia, which has been Georgia's Achilles heel on defense this year. So that is the keys to victory for Texas. Now for Georgia, keys to victory for Georgia. Number one on defense, and this is something I know Kirby does not like this. He doesn't. One thing about Kirby, he's never really been an overzealous type of play call on defense. But this is the one game he's going to have to do that because you don't have a good secondary. His secondary is mediocre to below average, in my opinion. So you're going to have to dial up some blitzes. You're going to have to send 5, 6 men, maybe sometimes 7. Dial up some safety blitzes. Send KJ Bolden in. Bolden is the fastest, one of the fastest safety that Georgia has. You send safety blitzes, corner blitzes. Even if you have to bring in an extra DB, bring in Ellis Robinson as your extra DB. He's long rangey and fast, and send him in on dial up a blitz on Ewers. Put pressure on Ewers, and you got to win the first down. You got to win. You got to win the first down. You can't give up chunk plays on first down. If you get into a situation where, and we see that the Georgia defense is giving up chunk plays on first down, it's going to be a long day. Long day. That's why a lot of experts are predicting blowout for Georgia because they just don't believe in that secondary. They don't believe in the secondary. Hell, I hear a lot of Georgia fans, behind the scenes saying the same thing. So no one can get upset. One thing about the truth, sometimes people can't handle it, but you're going to get the truth and honesty over here at the Dog Call. So Georgia needs to blitz. I think that right there will prevent that secondary from getting picked on all day because that we know what Sarkisian, that's his style of play calling. He will try to light you up down the field, especially if Sarkisian does not respect your secondary, and that's pretty much with any offensive coordinator in the nation. They don't respect your secondary. They're going to go after your secondary. They're going to go after them with gun blazing. So That's one key to victory. Next keys to victory is you want to involve on offense. You gotta come out. You gotta establish the run game. You got to establish the run game. The reason why I say this is I don't think that Georgia can last in a shootout with Texas. Now, I've heard some people saying the strategy is that Mike Bobo is going to just try to win in a shootout against Texas. Okay, well, we don't have the weapons that we had 2 years ago when that was the strategy against Ohio State. It turned into a shootout and we had to win in a shootout. We don't have an AD Mitchell. We don't have a Brock Bowers. We don't have a Lad McConkey. We don't have a Rosemary St. Jack. You know what I'm saying? We don't have a Curious Jackson. We had weapons back then that we were able to get into a shootout with other teams. But not only do we not have the weapons or the talent wise that we had 2 years ago, but we're down 2 players that we thought we were going to have this season. Ra Thomas gone, kicked off the team because of domestic violence, and Kobe Young just recently kicked off the team because of domestic violence. So now we're working with what we were working with, and this is where the running game has to step up. The running game has to step up. And if I'm Mike Bobo, I understand Etienne. We brought him in here to be the guy, but this is a game. This type of game right here, we need Nate Frazier to take the lead. He needs to be RB1 and for one Saturday night and one Saturday night only. If it has to come to that, Nate Frazier has to be RB1. He has to get the bulk of the carries because between the two running backs, Nate Frazier, he can beat you in many different ways. He can run around you, over you, through you. Etienne, he is more of a slasher. He can run around you. He can't really run over you. That's Nate Frazier. So we need to feed Nate Frazier. Another keys to victory, Mike Bobo needs to go with the hot hand. He needs to go with the hot hand. He needs to get Dominique Lovett involved more. London Humphreys. I've been saying this all season. I've been saying this since the Clemson game. And I'm not just going off of what he did for us against Clemson. I'm going by what the kid was doing last year for Vanderbilt. And I'm also looking at the play he made against us. This kid is special. Tremendous speed. He's long rangey. And he's hard to tackle. He's hard to bring down in the middle of the field. So I don't understand why we're not using this kid more often. But London Humphreys, we need to throw the ball to him a lot more. We need to use him more in this game. Love it. Bell needs to be the deep guy. Bell needs to be the deep guy. Arian Smith, listen, look, love the kid. He's fast. He can outrun. He can blow the top off of any secondary in the nation. But it defeats the purpose when you can't catch the damn ball. How many times has this man has beaten the opposing DBs down the field by a mile? The ball is in his hand, thrown right in his hand, and he just simply dropped it. You can't waste possessions. This is one of those games where it's not a good idea to waste possessions. Okay? You got to come with your A game when it comes to play calling. That bubble screen bull BS and that jet sweep BS, that crap ain't gonna work because Texas got some fast linebackers. They're not that elite, but they are fast and they can get to the ball and they swarm to the ball. I don't think that lateral crap is going to work against Texas. You got to go down the field. You got to either do it running or passing. The ball needs to go this way. Not this way. That crap, that it's not going to work on Texas. So if they, Mike Bobo, if that's his strategy, if he's going to come out trying to throw bubble screen here, bubble screen there, 5-yard pass here, 10, that's not going to work. That is not going to work. You come out better just handing the ball off and letting and feed Nate Frazier and ETN. You come out better doing that than running the risk of a bubble screen. Because if I don't know if you guys are paying attention or whatever, but there have been some times on those bubble screen plays that it was that close to being a pick six. We saw it in the Kentucky game. It's just the timing is not there. And I don't believe that that's Carson Beck's game. Carson Beck's game is he's a gunslinger. He likes to go down the damn field. And the thing about it is you got to let the best players play. Arian Smith is not the best deep ball receiver on the team. He is not. He may be one of Kirby's favorite, but he is not the best at going down the field. I really do believe if we was to give London Humphreys some opportunities down the field, that kid would come through. He has great hands, tremendous speed, and he can jump, and he is hard to bring down. So the question of that, do we have the talent to beat Texas? Yes, I do believe we have the talent to beat Texas. It's just that putting the right players out on the field, calling the right plays at the right time, and winning first down, winning third down on offense, and on defense, getting off the field on third down. You got to get off the field on third down on defense, because you get into a situation where Texas is converting first down after first down after first down after first down. It's going to be a long day. And I caution Kirby and Mike Bobo and Schumer, you don't want to get behind on this team. What happened in Tuscaloosa, it cannot happen in Austin. Because I'm telling you, listen, Sarkisian, he is not Kalen DeBoer. if he gets a 28 or a 30-point lead on you, he ain't taking his foot off the gas. Sarkisian will try to run up 50, 60, 70 points. He will try to embarrass Kirby. If he gets the opportunity to embarrass Kirby Smart and that Georgia defense, he will take that opportunity. He won't hesitate. He won't. So I say that to say this. Kirby, listen, if I'm Mike Bobo, I'm playing the long game. I'm starting off the first half. I'm playing the long game. I'm sustaining long drives. I'm matriculating the ball down the field. The bubble screen crap, I'm not really messing with that. I would rather just hand the damn ball off or go with some play action passes to the running backs out of the backfield. Lawson Lucky, get Lawson Lucky involved. Okay, get Lawson Lucky involved. Arian Smith, I would, a jet sweep here and there every now and then, if you're feeling it. But that bubble screen crap it does not work. He's fast, but he don't have the quickness to make anything happen from those bubble screens. That's why you're barely getting 1 or 2 yards off of those plays. Not one time this season has that bubble screen play turned into like a 20 or 30-yard game. Not one time. Not even against the cupcake teams. It hasn't happened. So there it is. Those are the keys to victory. On defense, Georgia's going to have to blitz a hell of a lot more than what they've been doing this season so far. They're going to have to come at Ewers. You cannot let him sit back and pick that secondary apart like that Mississippi State quarterback Van Buren did. Now, one thing I will say about that kid, if you go back and watch the film, that kid has one of the quickest releases I've ever seen. from any quarterback on the collegiate level. You got to go back to Dan Marino. You got to go back to Dan Marino. He has a very, very quick release. That kid was getting that ball out of his hands in 1.7 seconds. He has a quick release, very quick release. Kind of remind you of a Tua, Dan Marino. I'm thinking of maybe a couple of other quarterbacks that had quick releases like that. Carson Palmer had quick release like that. That kid was getting rid of that ball in 1.7 seconds. So blitzing him wouldn't have really did any good. And Mississippi State got them one. If they can hold on to him and not lose him in the transfer portal, they have them a damn good quarterback for the next 4 years. Now, let's get to the prediction. My prediction. After everything that's been said, and after all the information I just gave you, and we went over keys to victories for both teams, and took you back and did a little history of Georgia. In my lifetime, this will be their third matchup. This will be the rubber match right here. Early this week, well, I say when I say early this week, I'm going back to Sunday. I had my mind 100% made up to pick Texas. But as I actually watch some film on Texas and I actually think about it, that Texas defense has not been challenged. Michigan, they are a one-dimensional team. They're just run. Oklahoma's a one-dimensional team. Run. Mississippi State had kept the game kind of close going into the third quarter against Texas. So that defense has not really, excuse me, y'all, that defense has not really been tested by an offense like Georgia. That Texas defense has not seen an offense like Georgia, like what they're going to see. Now, Georgia doesn't have an elite offense. No, they don't. But damn, they're close to it. Okay. Georgia's offense is a hell of a lot better than Michigan and a hell of a lot better than Oklahoma. So Texas is going to see something that they haven't seen all season long. Okay. So, now as far as Texas's defense, okay, I'm sorry. As far as Texas O-line, Michigan's defense is okay, so. They gave up some big plays to USC. They gave up some big plays to Washington. So Michigan's defense has taken a tremendous step back. They're nowhere near the same as they were the last 3 years. Oklahoma has a good defensive front. I think what happened was I don't care how good your defense is. If your offense is not moving the ball and they're going 3 and out, attrition comes into play. And your defense is going to eventually get tired, and the other team is going to start just opposing their will on your defense. So I think that's what happened with Oklahoma. The defense just wasn't getting any help from the offense. Had Oklahoma had at least half of an offense, I don't think that game, I still believe Texas would have won, but I don't think it would have been that lopsided of a score. So with that being said, this will be the biggest challenge for Texas, defensive wise. This will be the biggest challenge for Texas. Georgia has already seen an offense similar to Texas, and that would be Bama. Okay. Georgia has seen a more athletic quarterback than Quinn Ewers, and that is Jalen Miro. Even if Isaiah Bond is at full strength, Kirby has seen Isaiah Bond before. Played, coached against him last year in the SEC championship game. And Ryan Williams is elite. Isaiah Bond is elite. Don't get me wrong, but Ryan Williams is in another category. Okay, so Georgia, what Texas is bringing, Georgia has already seen. What Georgia is bringing, Texas has not seen this year. So based on that, I'm gonna say in a close game, I'm just sticking with my prediction here. I've already said no team in the SEC is going through this season undefeated. And I'm sticking to that. Texas, I think they take their first L this week in a surprising upset. Georgia will be clicking on all cylinders. This is that game. This is that game that light switch will go on. It will be a very entertaining game, but I think Georgia, based on experience and based on already being battle tested by teams that are similar to Texas this season so far, I'm going to roll with the Georgia Bulldogs in a close one. I'm going to say something around 38-31 because both teams will score some points. Both teams will score some points. It's gonna be a scoring fest. I think it will get into a little scoring match toward the end, but I think Georgia will outlast them because I think Georgia has, by that much, I think Georgia just has the better defense, and Georgia has some weapons on offense, and they're a little bit more deeper. So I'm going with the Georgia Bulldogs in the upset. So you all let me know what you think. Thank you all for coming out. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button if you already haven't subscribed. Share the video as well. And leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Who do you have winning this game? Do you have the Georgia Bulldogs or do you have the Texas Longhorns? Well, the Texas Longhorns, hey, what they're trying to do this year is sort of like gentrification. When a corporation come into a neighborhood and just start buying up all the property and taking over and getting the old tenants up out of the neighborhood. That's basically what it is, gentrification. Will Texas do that to the SEC? Because they already have a victory over Bama. They beat Bama last year in Tuscaloosa. And they have Georgia this year. So you have the back-to-back seasons. If they get a victory over two of the big bullies of the SEC, then you have to say Texas is now the new official king of the SEC. So a lot is on the line. A lot is on the line for both teams. Now, as far as the playoffs, Texas actually can afford to lose this game and still have a chance to even become a number one seed in the playoffs, and go on and win the SEC and, get a good seeding, either number one or number 5. Georgia, this is a de facto elimination game, like I said, because you don't want to be in a situation where you have to go to Oxford and that is a must-win game. You don't want to be in a situation where the Vols come to Athens and that is a rivalry game and that game can go either way and you're one game away from elimination, which would be 3 losses. 3 losses, you're out. 2 losses, you're okay, but I wouldn't want to test that theory if I was Georgia. This is, to me, in my opinion, based on the fact that you lost to Bama, that makes this game a must-win. And I said that the night that Georgia lost to Bama, this game right here is a must win. So, ladies and gentlemen, everyone, I want to thank you all for coming out. We'll see. Hey, Georgia's an underdog for the first time. And whew, you got to go back to the 2020, opening Saturday of 2021 in Charlotte against Clemson. Georgia was a 3.5 point underdog that night. So to Clemson. So you remember Clemson came in with a lot of hype that season. They were ranked higher than Georgia. Clemson was ranked number 3, and Georgia was ranked number 5. Some polls had them number 6, and Georgia went out there and took care of business. So Kirby does pretty well when he's the underdog. So that is not often, not often that he's the underdog. But when he's the underdog, Georgia pretty much takes care of business. Remember 2017 up in Notre Dame, they were underdogs. I think they were like a 9-point underdog that night, and they went out there and took care of business. So everyone, thank you all for coming out. Hit that like button. Hey, look, regardless of what happens Saturday, hey, those are my dogs. Those are my dogs. Like I said, I was wavering back and forth on which way I was going to go earlier this week. I was pretty much totally going to go with Texas. But as the week went on, I just started, paying attention to some more things, paying attention to some more details, doing a little bit more research on Texas and the opponents that Texas have played this year. And that defense has not been tested. That defense has not been tested. So this will be their biggest test of the season. Because Georgia can beat you on the ground. They can beat you in the air. They can beat you in multiple ways. So this is going to be a big test for Texas. So everyone, thank you all for coming out. Love and appreciate you all. Hey, hit that like button, subscribe, share. Leave a comment in the comment section. What do you think? Who do you think is going to win this game? Georgia or Texas? All right, everyone, thank you so much. I'm Armando Black. This has been the Dog Call. Like I always say, take care of yourselves and each other. And one last thing, win, lose, or draw. Go Dogs! Sick 'em! Woo, 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 woo. Let's go, Dogs.
Woo!